Reciprocity, redistribution, and market. Now, they want to strengthen the bond. It's not like I went hunting, I got something, I will sit and eat alone on my own without giving anything in return. Mild form, like deceitful bargaining. Oh, this is last product. It's very worthwhile product. Take it, otherwise you will never get it. Rural community. Whereas Vedas are hunting and gathering community. Gift exchange and commodity exchange, where again the features you should keep in mind. Okay, gift exchange, don't get. Every society known, mankind is there, whether it is agriculture, peasants, and other things, right? So that is something which you have to keep in mind. So with that understanding of economic anthropology, we'll go into the next topic, that is modes of exchange. This modes of exchange itself can be a 20-marker question. All right. So modes of exchanges, basically there are two units. There is exchange of economic products between one unit and the other. It could be goods, it could be services. So anthropologists have studied different societies across the world, and they have come up with this different types of exchange that exist in human society. So let's have a look at the different modes as given by Karl Polanyi. So he's one of the anthropologists who has contributed towards economic anthropology. So he has analyzed different societies, and he has classified the different types of exchange into reciprocity, redistribution, and market exchange. So please remember these three things: reciprocity, redistribution, and market economy. Very important topic, because knowing this, other things also becomes easy in economic anthropology. We have touched upon this when we did kinship chapter. We touched upon this when we did political anthropology also. So we will do this in detail here. Okay, so reciprocity, redistribution, and market. Now, if you, without going further, if you just look at the words and try to understand its literal meaning, you'll get a lot of idea as to what we are talking about. Reciprocity. Reciprocity means give and take. Right? Reciprocity is like I smile at you, you smile back at me. Okay, so something which is got back in return is reciprocity. Whereas redistribution is somebody collects, okay, a wealth, and then they redistribute it, like chocolates is distributed, right? So you collect chocolates from everybody and then you redistribute that chocolate. And then market exchange is, from a general studies point of view, you know that market exchange is based on demand and supply. So something like that. So now with that basic understanding, let's read further, or let's try to understand it further. Now, reciprocity, okay, reciprocal exchange. So reciprocity or reciprocal exchange means I am there, you are here. So we exchange something in between us. Direct exchange. There is nobody in between. There's no agent in between. There is nothing else. So I give something to you, you give something back in return. That is reciprocity, reciprocal exchange. So here there is a direct exchange between two units. Usually these two units are of equal or same kind. Okay, usually it happens between two units of same kind. For example, let's say the exchange that happens between a farmer, okay, and carpenter. Okay, so the carpenter, he will produce agricultural equipment. The farmer, okay, produces food grains. So the farmer will give food grains to the carpenter. The carpenter in turn will give agricultural equipments. So this we know is barter. No problem. Okay, so this may be barter. Here what is happening? There is an exchange that is happening between the two individuals. Direct exchange is happening, and usually unit of same kind, meaning both are producing something. Is that okay? Then giving and taking without the use of money. Without the use of money. All right. Then further we can classify reciprocity into three types. Karl Polanyi and others like Marshall Salins. So they have further classified reciprocity into three types: general, balanced, and negative. So from this, we will try and understand it. I mean, we will go further into understanding what is reciprocity. So direct exchange. Okay, in that you have generalized, balanced, and negative. Okay, so what is this generalized reciprocity? Now, let's take the example of exchange that happens between family relatives, family members and family relatives. Okay, between, let's say, grandparents and grandchildren. Okay, so the grandparent gives something to the children as gift or something like that. All right. So this direct exchange that happens, in return, there is some kind of love and other things. So here what is happening is exchange is happening between two units, which there is already a pre-existing relationship. Here they are family members. It could be friends or anything. So there is a pre-existing relationship. So the first characteristic of generalized reciprocity is that there should be a pre-existing relation. It could be family. It could be friends, etc. Okay, so there is a pre-existing relationship. Remember that. Second, profit is not the only motive over here, or it's not a motive. Profit is not a motive over here. The motive is to strengthen the existing bond between the two units. So grandmother, grandfather giving gift to the children is to show their love and strengthen the bond between them and their grandchildren. So that is what it is. So reaffirmation of existing tie. The second thing you can appreciate from the example that I gave you, that there is exchange between the grandmother and the grandchildren. Okay, so grandchildren does not give anything in return. Okay, let's say in the future, the grandchildren, when they grow up, they give gifts to their children, and so on and so forth. So it continues. So there is no actual transaction that, a transactional exchange that happens between A and B. A gives to B, B gives to C, C gives to D. So that is known as no just equivalence. So over here you can see A gives gift to B. B need not return that gift back to A. It may be given to somebody else. Plus no time is also prescribed for it. Okay, the return may not be fulfilled directly. Okay, it may be given to somebody else, or nothing is returned. So there's no just equivalence. So A is giving 100 rupees to B. B need not give that exact 100 rupees back. Correct? No, in your family also, there is no just equivalence. You have received a gift from your parents. You don't make a note of it. Yes, I have received so much. So one day with interest, you'll repay back. That does not work in family where there is love. Okay, so the existing ties relationship is more important, and not making profit or anything. There's no just equivalence. I gave you 100 rupees, you don't give back 100 rupees. It's not like that. Okay, so there's no just equivalence. There is no time that is prescribed, and sometimes they don't give it back to the original person. They give it back to somebody else. For example, among the Kung Bushmen, as studied by Lorna Marshall. So here what happens is the Kung Bushmen, they go hunting. One person will go hunt and they will bring back the meat. Okay, and they will distribute it equally among all their relatives, even when the relatives did not participate in the hunt. Is that understood? So here what happens is they want to strengthen the bond. It's not like I went hunting, I got something, I will sit and eat alone on my own without giving anything in return. No, I will distribute it equally among all my relatives. And it's not like, I gave you something yesterday, so therefore I expect you to give something back tomorrow. No, there's no expectation. There is no expectation. If you can, you give it. Meaning, it's not like even when you can, it's like tomorrow you may give it in some other way, or you may give it to somebody else. So that is what it is. So in family circles, close relatives, close friends, you do something you don't expect anything in return. That's called as no just equivalence. Is that understood? And return may not be even fulfilled directly. Example, the Kung Bushmen. Similarly, ceremonial exchanges. We'll discuss this later. Kula, practiced among the Trobriand islanders. So here also in ceremonial exchange, you give something in return, give something to your partner, but don't expect anything in return. Just a bond that is strengthened between the two. It is seen more among simple society, hunting and gathering, because we saw hunting and gathering people live in in bands, and they live in close, kinship groups. So they share everything. There is no ownership. They share whenever whoever has will give it to others without expecting anything in return. Is that understood? Now the question is it truly altruistic? Altruistic means you are doing something for others without expecting anything in return. So anthropologists, especially the modern anthropologists, question whether it is truly altruistic. Are you doing without any self-interest? Is there no self-interest in generalized reciprocity? Many anthropologists argued that there is a self-interest. What is that self-interest? It could be in receiving social credit. Now I do some help to my friend. What happens is I don't expect that thing return. But what happens is there is a bond that exists and I can expect some help in the future. So I am doing something today so that I can get help in the future. So whenever there is difficulty that comes tomorrow in the future, I know I can rely on my friend. So it acts as a social credit. Especially societies like hunting and gathering, primitive society, where there was a lot of insecurity. When there was a lot of insecurity, you had to rely on other members of the society, like your friends and family. If you did not, then you will not be able to survive. So by practicing generalized reciprocity, you are building a bond so that your survival chances will increase. Did you all understand this idea or analysis? So by doing help to others, yes, you are able to get social credit, which you can use in the future. So that is generalized reciprocity. You can give some examples about this analysis, which will be asked in your examination. For example, among the Kung Bushmen, anyone who does not give gift is considered as far-hearted. Okay, meaning cold-blooded. Pattar ka dil, far-hearted. So among the Kung Bushmen, because they are hunting and gathering, so they don't know whether tomorrow they will be able to get enough food. If they don't hunt properly tomorrow, they may not be able to get enough food. So in that context, what happens is they are dependent on others. Yes, because of the harsh life. So by being generous and practicing generalized reciprocity, you will be able to have a higher chance of survival. Similarly, the Ghana tribe, hunting and gathering, okay, and they also practice plant cultivation, also pastoral. That means they are having more stable life, because if hunting and gathering fails, they can rely on plant cultivation and goat. So they have some degree of security. Because they have degree of security, there is more individualism. People are more secure, so they don't have to depend on others. So they are less vulnerable. So there is less reciprocity, less sharing seen among them compared to the Kung Bushmen. So this analysis will help you to understand that depending upon what kind of socio-economic practice they do, okay, the different types of exchange exists. Is that okay? So this is an important analysis that you need to understand. Next is balanced. Now in balanced, unlike generalized, so in generalized reciprocity, you don't expect anything in return. It may not happen also, and there's no time that is prescribed. Whereas in generalized, what happens is the exchange is just equivalence, meaning if I give you 100 rupees worth of product, I expect 100 rupees worth product in return. I expect 100 rupees worth product in return. So it is therefore called as just equivalence, symmetrical exchange. A exchanges 100 rupees worth, gets 100 rupees worth. Whatever assumed worth also is enough. So where does it happen? So within close relatives, generalized reciprocity. Somebody outside the close relative son, you will find balanced. So here you know them, but they are not your relative. Not relative, but known to each other. Like the shopkeeper from whom you will purchase product. So what do? You give 100 rupees note and you get 100 rupees worth of product. So this kind of exchange is called as balanced because there is equivalence. Yes, it is explicit short term, immediate return. Or time is specified that you will have to return this worth of product within so much time. So just equivalence, yes. Return is immediate or within a specified time, yes. So here also there are different types. I mean, for example, trade that happens between the Bushmen of Kalahari and the Tswana. So Bushmen within their relative circle, within their band, they exchange through generalized. Whereas when the band exchanges with outsiders, they practice balance. So Bushmen and Tswana. Okay, the Tswana are food producers. Tswana are food producers. Bushmen is hunting and gathering. So let's say they have some bush meat excess and they need some clothes or some other kind of food grains, etc. They exchange it with the Tswanas. Similarly, the Vedas, they are a hunting and gathering tribe of Sri Lanka. Okay, so Vedas and the village people. Vedas live in forest. The villagers, rural community, they produce food grains. Vedas gather, okay, hunt and gather produce from the forest. So they exchange between each other. So that kind of exchange is called as balanced reciprocity. Trade that happens outside Kula. As I told you, Kula is a type of ceremonial exchange. Now, what is ceremonial exchange? We'll discuss in a while. So Kula, okay. So Kula is practiced, okay, as a ceremonial exchange, but outside Kula, there is exchange that happens in this case. Similarly, Iroquois, when they do trade with the Europeans, there was this kind of exchange. So where do you see this? This is seen in higher level of this one, like pastoral communities, where, okay, pastoral communities, agricultural communities, etc., which is not self-sufficient, meaning they are dependent on outsiders. Now, hunting and gathering tribes are self-sufficient, meaning whatever they want, they hunt and gather, and they are almost self-sufficient. They are not dependent on outsiders. But other societies like agrarian societies, horticulture society, pastoral, they may not be having everything that they need. Okay. So for example, a paddy cultivating society, they grow paddy, but for everything else, meat and vegetables and milk and other things, they're dependent on others. So they may exchange with them. And that kind of exchange is balanced reciprocity. Yes, so it could be gift exchange or it could be commodity exchange. Gift exchange and commodity exchange, where again, the features you should keep in mind. Okay, gift exchange, don't get confused as in generalized. So here, gift exchange means there is exchange. Gift giving is generalized of another gift. So that is gift exchange. See, for example, gift exchange happens where there is a personal relationship. Commodity exchange happens where there is relationship which is impersonal, like a shopkeeper. Involves creation or perpetuation of the relationship. Already existing relationship is there, you are strengthening it. This happens only for transaction. The relationship exists only in transaction. You don't deal with them for other purpose. Once the transaction is over, the relationship also may end. All right, the motivation is social consideration. You want to strengthen the bond, etc. Whereas here the motivation is the transaction in itself. You are in need of some commodity, you exchange something which you have for that commodity. Is that okay? But you should understand why we don't call this gift exchange as generalized reciprocity is because it is just equivalence. You give gift expecting some gift in return. Yes, time is specified when you are supposed to give it in back. Like, it's, for example, you go to somebody's wedding, you give 100 rupees. The person who whose wedding it is writes down, this person has given me 100 rupees. Tomorrow in your wedding, he gives you 100 rupees in return. So there is a transaction that happens. You know that personal relationship, you want to keep that bond alive, but it is not like as though you give the product and you forget about it, like in generalized. Here there is exchange that happens, so keep that in mind. Now, what do you exchange? You can exchange goods. You can exchange even labor, service. Yes, you can exchange your labor and you can exchange some service. Munduruku, they used to exchange labor, okay, with each other, meaning they will go and work in somebody's field. Okay, let's say there is a harvest season. There is shortage of labor. So neighboring farmer comes and works in your field, expecting that after 2 days of work, you go and work for 2 days in their field. Mutual exchange of labor. Okay, we see that in rural areas also. You go and work in somebody else's field for 2 days and they will come and work in your field for 2 days. Instead of relying on labor from outside, you yourself will help each other. But here, you know them, there is a personal relationship or there is some kind of a bond that exists and you want to maintain that relationship. But the exchange is just equivalence. You did for 2 days, you expect them to also do for 2 days. So this is balanced. The third type of reciprocity is negative reciprocity. As the name itself suggests, negative. That means you try to get better of the transaction. A and B transact with each other, but you make sure that you get better from B. It can also include theft. When you steal something or when somebody steals from another person, it's called as negative reciprocity. So try to get better of the exchange. It can be mild form, like deceitful bargaining. Oh, this is last product. It's very worthwhile product. Take it, otherwise you will never get it. Yes. Or you're saying that, no, this I don't want. I'll get it from the next store, this. And you'll try to get it for cheap. That is also negative reciprocity. And in extreme case, theft and seizure. For example, the Navajo Red Indians. Okay, Navajo Red Indians, they quote very high price for outsiders when they come to buy their produce. Knowing if they are outsiders, they will quote very high price. Similarly, like you would have gone in tourist places and all things like that. Okay. Similarly, theft seen among the Nuers, Dinkas, among the Kazakh. These are all pastoral societies where you find different kinds of pastoral society where they go and raid another group and they try to get the better of them by stealing them. So these are the different types of reciprocity. Okay, that is generalized, balanced, and negative reciprocity. Is that okay? So depending upon the social relationship, see, if you take, for example, the first circle of your family members, your close cousins, etc. First circle, you will find your generalized reciprocity. In the second circle, okay, that is your village members, shopkeepers, neighboring shops, your neighbors, etc. Over there, you may find balanced reciprocity. With outsiders who you have no ties with, you will find negative reciprocity. So, depending upon the distance of kinship relationship, you will have different types of reciprocity. Within the first circle, close relatives, you find generalized reciprocity. With somebody you know, okay, but you are not closely related, you will find balanced. And outsiders from whom you don't have any personal relationship, you don't expect to maintain a relationship, in that case, you will find negative reciprocity. So in the exam, they can ask relating to reciprocity, what are the different type and where do you see it, what factors determine the type of reciprocity. This concept you should be able to understand. Why would you see different types of reciprocity and what factors determine this? Okay, so this is with respect to reciprocity. Any doubt? All right. So that's the analysis, as I told you. The first circle you will find close relatives. So you find balanced reciprocity, generalized reciprocity. Outside circle, your balanced, and outer circle, you will find negative reciprocity. But it has been criticized by Ingold, who says that we cannot attribute, okay, positive and negative based on the kinship relationship and exchange. For example, saying that balanced reciprocity or generalized reciprocity is good and saying that negative reciprocity is bad would not be correct, because or you cannot attribute it based on the kinship relationship, because see, for example, gift, yes, is good, but demand is wrong. See, demand happens even within the family circle. Yes, so there is demand for, in a social relationship, like demand by, children from their parents, etc. So such kind of demand puts undue pressure on relationship. For example, we have seen today, yes, so when they get married with love, they are supposed to exchange. But then if there is demand, yes, then it becomes wrong. So even within close relatives, there could be negative transaction which cannot be attributed from this classification, is what he says. On the other hand, for example, okay, theft is negative, no doubt about it. But with an outsider, you can have a barter system where you strengthen the existing bond, because you are dependent on the other person and you know that without that person, you will not be able to survive. And therefore, you barter with them, you trade with them, you exchange with them. Yes. So this happens with an outsider, but you don't have personal relationship. With this transaction strengthens the bond with each other. See, for example, India and China, or US and China, let's take the example, US and China. Yes, they may not have personal relationship, they may not like each other, there is animosity between each other, but they are dependent on each other economically. So whatever happens, they are going to, not fight with each other, not break the relationship, as long as they are dependent on each other. So here they are strengthening the bond. Even though they try to get the better of each other, there is strengthening on bond and they cannot live without each other. So you cannot attribute social relationship based on the transaction, is what Ingold has said and criticized. I hope you understood this. So this idea also is useful for you to appreciate the concept of exchange. So moving on. So that is reciprocity. The next one is redistribution. So redistribution is very simple. What is redistribution? So there is a power center where there is a power center where this power center collects all the resources, and then this is distributed among other members of the society. As you can see over here at the diagram, the local communities, they give tribute, taxes, whatever, to the central authority. The central authority, instead of keeping it with themselves, they redistribute. Okay, they distribute it among the local members. This happens in chiefdom, state, modern society, yes. So what happens in chiefdom? The chief collects the tributes and then distributes it among the public in the form of public work and other things. Similarly, the state collects taxes. The taxes are then utilized for undertaking public work and give it as money to the other members, other citizens of the state. Modern society, what is happening? Taxes and other revenue is collected and put in the consolidated fund of India, and then it is distributed in the form of welfare schemes, programs, and other things, public infrastructure. So this is known as redistribution. So what is redistribution? A society with political hierarchy, right? So there is somebody who is having the power. The person who is having the power collects this. It can be voluntary or involuntary, like tributes. It's voluntary. You go and donate some money to the temple or the priest or the chief. That is voluntarily. Or involuntary, like the taxes. The taxes are collected involuntarily. They are forced out of you. happens between individuals of higher and lower rank. The central authority, the chief, the king is higher, and the local Aam Aadmi is lower, seen in chiefdom and state. So the leader has the power, political power, the right to collect this, right to collect. And at the same time, because they have the money, they also have the responsibility to do the public work. So that is what is redistribution. So many examples are there. We talked about Trobriand Islanders. So you find all these kinds of exchange in the same society also, depending upon the context. So in Trobriand Islanders, they have chiefs. The chief collects tributes from the people and will undertake public work and public services. Similarly, Sai of New Guinea, chief is called as Muni. He receives labor from the commoners, and in return, he protects them from outside attack. In India also, several tribes like Proja tribe, the chief is called as Nayak. Similarly, the Gonds, they have a chief. They collect tributes from its people and undertake public service, protection, doing public work and other things. African state of Bunroyo also, the king collects. Inca may, the Inca dynasty, the Inca kingdom, there they would collect tribute or taxes in the form of labor. So you had to render labor service to the king. Okay, so king would use that labor for various public activities to build roads and other things. So this power and authority would control the people life. And then modern society also, in modern society also, we see taxes collected and public service being performed by the government, right? So these are the examples that you can write for redistribution. The third form of exchange is market exchange. Now, you have a general idea of what is market exchange. So you go to buy apples, mangoes, etc. So the price is determined by market forces, demand and supply. If there is more demand, less supply, prices will be high. If there is less demand but more supply, prices will become low. So the market forces determining the prices of commodities and you exchanging them, just equivalence, etc. That's called as market exchange. So here, exchange of goods that happens between an individual and many sellers and many buyers, right? So it's not between two individuals. Here you have multiple individuals. Even in reciprocity also, redistribution also, there are many agents involved. Whereas reciprocity between two people, two units. Here there are multiple units. Similarly, in market also there is multiple units, multiple buyers, multiple sellers, right? It is based on the principle of demand and supply. It can be direct or indirect. So barter system is a direct form of exchange. So you exchange apple to mangoes. You are a farmer who produces food grains, and you have a carpenter who produces agricultural equipment. So you exchange them. So that is called as barter system without the use of money. Indirect exchanges where you use money as a form of exchange. Okay, indirect is where money is the means of exchange. Okay, so this is the type of market exchange. Barter, where you exchange commodities without money. With money, it is. Now, money can be of different types. From an anthropology point of view, we see that there are different types of money. So the money that you and me uses, this is called as general purpose money. Meaning I have 100 rupees note, I can use it for anything, to buy goods, to buy services, okay, to pay taxes or whatever. So there is no particular purpose for this money. But then we have also seen in many societies that there are special purpose money, where this money can be used only for a particular purpose. It can be used only for a particular purpose. See, for example, you can see here in the Melanesian tribe, there is something called as shell money. The shell money is used only for certain sacred activities. It cannot be used for every purpose. Okay, so special purpose can be used only for limited number of items. Whereas general purpose money, it can be used for any commercial transaction, no restriction in use. So society may, where you have multiple buyers, multiple sellers, therefore multiple agents or units, where transaction can happen between anybody. So such a transaction which happens based on demand and supply, okay, where the prices, everything. So therefore, this kind of thing is called as market exchange. So as we discussed, barter is one type. of exchange that happens without the use of money, right? So please remember, barter is not ceremonial exchange. We'll come to now ceremonial exchange. So in barter, what happens is goods or services are exchanged between two individuals without money. All right, without the medium of exchange, that is money. They are utilitarian, they are non-ceremonial, utilitarian in nature, like it is of use. When I talk about ceremonial, like in religion, ceremonial means these goods don't have utility. They have symbolic meaning to it. Like you go to a temple, yes, you get some coconut and banana or something like that, prasada. So it has more symbolic value. The prasada has more symbolic value, and there is no utilitarian value to it. Okay, so you do donation voluntarily. Okay, even if you don't, you get money. So this ceremonial type of exchange we talk about in reciprocity mainly. Whereas over here, barter, I exchange it with you without money. For example, you give me tomatoes, I give you, let's say some tool that I produce, if I'm a tool maker. So that is barter. Now there are two types of barter. Okay, one is silent barter, the other one is your open barter. Okay, so silent barter means the exchange that happens, the barter that happens between two individuals happens without, communication. Okay, without verbal communication. For example, the Vedas and Sinhalese, that is, Sinhalese are village community, village, that is rural community, whereas Vedas are hunting and gathering community. Vedas are hunting and gathering community, whereas Sinhalese are the village or rural community. So they exchange. So Vedas, hunting and gathering. Okay, so they go to different, they hunt different animals, gather forest produce, etc. Okay, the Sinhalese, they grow food grains. Okay, they might be having cattle from which milk is there. So the exchange happens between them, but happens without any means of communication. Verbal communication does not happen here. So how does the exchange happen? So in the night, what happens is the Vedas come, they are very shy. Okay, they don't talk to the mainstream people, they're very shy. So when everybody is sleeping in the night, okay, these Vedas, they come and keep their produce, whatever they have hunted and gathered, in the village center. Okay, then the people in the next day will take it and keep something in return. The next night, again, the Vedas will come and take those produce and go. So this is called as silent barter. Similarly, Mubuti pygmies of Congo on Iruti forest with the outsiders, they also do the same thing. So they're also very shy. They go and keep the produce. If they the next day they will get something else in return from the villagers, they take it and go. If they didn't like it, so there is an element of bargain here also. Imagine if that village did not give good things for Vedas, next time they will not come to that village. Okay, so that bargaining is still existing in this kind of barter. So it is utilitarian and also involves bargaining. Remember that. All right, open barter. Okay, seen among the Todas, Kotas, Kurumbas, and Badagas. Now, these four tribes, they live in the Nilgiri Hills. We have talked about Todas. So the Todas are the pastoral tribes. Kota, Kurumba, Badaga, they are all medicine man, agricultural, and musicians. So they all exchange goods between them in the form of barter. So the agricultural, the Kota tribe, they exchange with Todas and all of that with bargaining. Okay, and utilitarian goods. So the Todas give milk in return for food grains. Similarly, the Gimwali goods among the Trobriand Islanders. So what happens is in Trobriand Islanders, they exchange, they do barter. They also don't have money. That's also another example. Okay, so this kind of barter, it's seen in, because there is no money, seen in simple society where there is very little specialization, simple society. There is no medium of exchange, and it happens with or without market. Meaning, there may be a marketplace, there may not be a marketplace, but the principle of market is there. That means demand and supply. So let's say I have a produce which is of high demand, I will expect more goods in return. So market principle is there, but marketplace may not be there. So this is about barter.